So while the bandsaw is cutting, I blow most of the crap off the piece that just came off, and then I'll hit it with the grinder, and then I'll wire wheel out the burr on the inside. Well, I completely spaced taking video. This is the last set of parts, so I missed the rougher. I use a Lakeshore carbide fire plug, 5/16, and cuts all four of these in under, well, I just did this in 13 and a half minutes, and that's all four of them, both tools. There's really nothing special about this. It bores down, and then it's a 2D pocket, okay, and then this is just contour cuts to get it to the size I want. So the next tool pass will be a little bit more interesting when I cut the sides, and basically I'm going to lift these up and flip them. Between that, I will go through and cut, and that's what's running right now is the bandsaw in the background. I'll just stop that for a second. As you can see, I have a couple of plates there, and what the plates do, I'm using another piece of 2x2 as a jack, okay, so that when it clamps down, it levers against that and clamps against this, because it is out past the edge here. I just realized I need to scoot that out just a little bit more, but the plates are there basically to get me out closer to the blade so I can grab. Otherwise, there's nothing there to be able to hang on to lengthwise. I could clamp it in the vise and cut it off with a cutoff wheel or whatever, but this is repeatable and works really nice, so we'll let it finish cutting here. Loosen the vise up, pull that piece out of there. Let's slide this one forward a bit more. It doesn't have to be right up against the blade, it just has to be close enough that it grabs the part. And then I take that out just to make it easier to set this down. And I do pull it against the stop and kind of push it up against the back there. And then I noticed a few of them were skewed, so I've been looking down the blade and see if it's parallel here, and then I'll clamp it down. And you saw it shift just a little bit there, but still close enough. I turn it on and let it run. I probably won't show much of that, but that's all that happens. I get some pretty good burrs there from the bandsaw. So this is just to knock them off, and I get some burr here. There's a little one right there. So I'm just going to knock them off just to make it more comfortable when I handle these without gloves. I started wearing gloves again on them because I got tired of all the tiny little slivers every time I picked them up. Now I use the ones with the thinner wall as my test subjects, basically. They're all the same width and everything. That's the only thing that changes. And what I want to do is I want to set up 4 of them and do my G54 off the back corner where that new surface is. So it's not exactly the same. It's, for the first piece it is, it's identical. I could, if I wanted to do one at a time, I could just put that in there and run with it. But since I want to do 4 of them, I have to set up because I'm grounding this side flush with this edge, and then I'm measuring G55 on the left side. So since the part is narrower there, that would move it over, and I'd be at least about 1/8 of an inch off from the original G55 that's in there from the first off. Set up new codes. It's worth it to be able to run 4 at a time. Love the quiet. Up until I remembered I hadn't shot any video, I had my headphones on, my earbuds in, and was cranking out some tunes. Now I can't use that G54 anyway because I turned the bottom piece here down, you know, flipped it so it drops. So I gotta do all 4 from the beginning anyway. No big deal. That's 96 thou different. So that's how much shorter the part is at that end. If you're just starting out in Fusion, on the setup itself, when you edit that, so I had it set, and it's under the post-process tab, the right one there. I had it set for 1 offset, and you could put 0 here or put 1, and I tend to put 1 because then I don't forget if I decide to put multiples in. So like right now, if I post this, only that far left part is going to get made, okay? Which I could do, but if it turns out okay, I'm going to let it keep running and do the other 3. So since I put a 1 in there, I can click on this and easily tell it I want 4 instances. It's going to offset incrementally by 1. If for some reason I had another part in between them, I could tell it offset by 2, you know, and then it would go from G54 to G56. I haven't come across a reason to do that. Preserve order by I put order by tool here. When you click OK and you post process, it comes up and I tell it here to reorder to minimize tool changes. That way I'm not doing tool 1 for this piece and then tool 2 and then go over to the next piece and do tool 1. I'll use the same roughing tool on each of the 4 parts. It'll just repeat itself 4 times. Go into Dropbox, roll joints, shock. It's already in there, so if I click save, it'll ask if I want to replace it. Yes. And I always look at the time, 10:26, because that way when I come over here and I tell it to load the code, I can decide 10:26. There we go. Because if I'm making changes back to back, I could have done one at 10:24 and then went oops and changed something and reposted it, and then I come up here and load it and I'm thinking, oh crap, that's the most recent, only to realize it's not once it's too late. So anyway, 10:26 matches, so that's the one I want. And as you can see, I've got 4 different instances. We are ready to run. And what I always do on the first one, I know everybody talks about cutting air, and I do that at times, but when I'm cutting air, a lot of times I can't really tell when it's made a mistake. So I will instead turn the rapids down by 50%, and then I'll single step in, because I can look at the cam, the tool path, get an idea of where it's supposed to start and approach, you know. So if it says, okay, so like the bore, it's going to start in the middle here. Well, if the tool comes down over here, okay, something's wrong. If it comes down around the middle where I want it, cool, great. I've got a couple of parts I can scrap if I have to, so I'm not too worried about it. Same thing on the edge there. If it comes down and I get it right up close, and I'll also check the heights too. So if you know where your clearance heights are, stuff like that, you know, if it's 1 inch above the part, then you'll watch the tool come down. It should stop there. So let's see what happens. And I don't need to run the coolant. I just need to remember to turn it on. So to start with, I'll leave everything set. That way it just rapids to the top, saves me some time. Since I know I'm going to be going slow, I'm going to go ahead and get over here closer to the first part so I don't have to wait for half speed to move all the way over there. Okay, rapid override on, single block. Yeah, set for 0.6, so that looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and turn this on so I can close the covers in case there is a problem and something wants to break. And then for hand deburring, outside hole, just reach through and take off the one on the inside. Catch this edge here. It's kind of hit and miss what order I do these in. And that's it. These got chamfered on the mill. I quit doing that, and so when I get to those, I will just hand deburr them. But that's finished. Oh, the only other thing I do is I blend the brake here a little bit. Some of them have a lip one way or the other. Just blends them in, makes any lip there disappear. So, okay, they're all done, chamfered on the belt sander, that kind of stuff. They're all going to get glass beaded, glass abrasive. So I figured I'd give you an idea what it looks like in the final one. Granted, this is one with the thin bars, but it's just what I grabbed yesterday to throw in the blast cabinet and give it a shot. So these are done. Next up, it'll be to modify the arms so that these can get mounted.